Welcome to OwanaPaedia once again, your one-stop center for the history of this country and the rest of the world. My name is Tony Geoffrey Owana, and in charge of all operations is the son of my colleague, Corporal Matov Samuel, who is since deceased, the one and only Herbert Semian. I'm sure you've been missing us just like we've been missing you. And we must straight away apologize for that hiatus. In broadcasting, it will be a commercial break, but you must remember that we have had two problems. We had COVID, then followed by other disasters, including the recent one of Ebola. So please, Ebola is still around, and COVID is lurking somewhere, as the president has been warning us. But we are back in action, and we assure you we are ready with a package right from the beginning of 2023. It promises to be a great year at OwanaPaedia.
Tony Owana really loves our history. He has a passion for doing research, and he shares all this history with you so that you can make informed choices.
Banange, have you subscribed to OwanaPaedia? I don't know what you are waiting for.
Doing research, and he shares all this history with you.
We are going back to the month of December 1967, when President of Uganda, MIlton Obote, hosted about 11 presidents from around Africa. You must remember that this is the time when the pact that created the East African community had just been signed by the three leaders, Dr. Milton Obote of Uganda, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, and Mzee Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. About 4 months later, in December, we received 11 heads of state and their representatives for a summit here in Uganda. OwanaPaedia is in possession of a newspaper which prepared us for the event, and the ones you are seeing in the picture are the heads of state and their representatives. This newspaper was the defunct Munno of the Roman Catholic Church at the time, written in Luganda. This Munno story, which came out on 16th December 1967, was headed, President yayasanguza ngagulawo enkonge zijja kusiga okululwa. President MIlton Obote bwe yabadde ng'aggulawo olukiiko lw'abakulembeze b'amawanga g'omu East ne Central Africa olwokusatu olwatandise okutuula mu Kampala olunaku lw'eggulo, yayasanguza nti ekikulu abakulu kye beesibiridde kwe kusiguukulula enkonge zonna ezirabika nga zigezaako okwagala okwawulayawula mu mawanga ago. President Obote was swearing that the unity of these East African states was focused on uprooting all obstacles, he described them in the meeting, that stood in the way of African unity. Let me remind you that Dr. Obote had just come out of what was called the 1966 revolution, in which we replaced the 1962 semi-federal constitution with the republic one, and it ended in the exile of former President Edward Mutesa, the declaration of curfew in Uganda for several years, and the suspension of very many civil liberties. Most of the opposition leaders at that time were behind bars. However, this particular visit was a success, and OwanaPaedia would like to salute the memories of the great journalists who covered this event for Uganda Film Unit, most of who are most probably now dead. Over now to 1967, when President Obote was receiving some of the guests at Entebbe Airport. Courtesy of OwanaPaedia.
Kampala, the capital city of the Republic of Uganda, was gaily decorated with flags and bunting in honor of the leaders from 11 different countries of East and Central Africa. They were attending the summit conference held here in December 1967. Kampala, because of its central position in Africa, enjoys good communication links with the rest of the world, comfortable hotels, a pleasant climate and friendly people. Naturally, it has become a popular rendezvous for many a conference and exhibition. Uganda lies astride the equator. It is 94,000 square miles in area with a population of about 9.5 million. The country's chief products are cotton, coffee, tea, sugar and copper. It is a tourist paradise, the home of wildlife preserved in its many national parks. Murchison Falls, Queen Elizabeth and Kidepo are famous throughout the world. This was the scene at the International Airport Entebbe on the 12th December 1967. The President and Mrs. Obote went to receive important visitors. It was a happy day, for Uganda is always glad to welcome friends. The first head of state to arrive was His Excellency the President of the Central African Republic, Colonel Jean Bokassa, who was accompanied by his wife. Dr. Obote introduced members of the government and members of the diplomatic corps. The world-famous Heartbeat of Africa troupe was there to give a rousing welcome in the traditional Uganda way. The following day, President and Mrs. Obote were once again at the airport to welcome more of their guests. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia. Zambia lies to the south of Uganda, 800 kilometers from its southern boundary. Excellency the President of the United Republic of Tanzania was welcomed by Dr. and Mrs. Obote. Tanzania, with Uganda and Kenya, form the East African Community with its headquarters in Arusha. The following day, President Al-Azhari was introduced on his arrival to the members of the government by President Obote. Sudan is situated in northeastern Africa and to the north of Uganda. The lifeline of the country is the River Nile and its tributaries. At the press conference, President Al-Azhari expressed hopes for the achievements of the summit meeting. He said that he anticipated it will be extremely successful. After having welcomed Emperor Haile Selassie, President Obote and his guests took the salute while the Uganda police band played the national anthem. The guard of honor was mounted by the Uganda Army. His Imperial Majesty was introduced to government ministers, senior officials, and representatives of the armed forces. On his arrival at the press conference, President Kayibanda of Rwanda said, "We must get rid of all the mercenaries as soon as possible." President Mobutu of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Mr. Laza Ntafishara, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Burundi, arrived together in one plane and were welcomed by President Obote. The next to come was Prime Minister Mohamed Eagle of the Republic of Somalia. He too was welcomed by President and Mrs. Obote. He was presented with a bouquet.
Kenya's President Jomo Kenyatta was not fond of flying, and he came for the summit via Busia by car. But he could not resist stopping over at the Owen Falls Dam, which supplies electricity to both Uganda and Kenya. With him was his loyal deputy Daniel Arap Moi, who later became president of Kenya too. Kampala's Mayor Alderman Nega gave the visiting first citizens a grand reception at Lugogo Indoor Stadium. President Obote was in a very jovial mood as the guests filed in. Striding strongly with his trademark fly whisk, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta received a standing ovation from VIP guests, who included the famous Kenyan lawyer and politician Charles Njonjo. Kenyatta was followed by Tanzania's Julius Nyerere and Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia. With Uganda's Obote, these two form the three members of the famous Mulungushi Club. I'll tell you about it one other time. Following Sudan's President Assari came Ethiopia's Emperor Haile Selassie, famously known as the Lion of Judah.
It was a very friendly occasion. The heartbeat of Africa Troop, by their superb performance, added in making it an evening to remember. And now to work. Parliament Building, Kampala. The leaders arrived for the summit conference and were here for the third summit conference. They came from Ethiopia, Kenya, Central African Republic, Zambia, Burundi, Sudan, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Republic of Congo Brazzaville, and the host country Uganda. In his speech, President Obote extended the greetings of the people and government of Uganda to the visiting leaders and wished them a pleasant stay in his country. All the African nations have many things in common. Apart from their similar economies, they are developing countries facing the world and the future with confidence and working hard towards rapid progress. This day's talk may well lead to closer cooperation in this endeavor. They discussed a wide range of subjects of common interest, such as trade, economic cooperation, the question of security, and of mercenaries. The leaders lined up in front of the Parliament building for the traditional photographs.
It is called Kampala Sheraton today, but it was Apollo Hotel in 1967 when First Lady Mama Miria Obote treated our VIP guests to a fabulous state dinner. Emperor Haile Selassie, President Kenyatta and Mama Ngina, his wife, Rwanda's President Gregoire Kayibanda, and Congo's President Joseph Mobutu with his wife. Then President Obote and his other guests. many of you would pay dearly to know which subjects were discussed here at table, but neither you nor I were this privileged, and OwanaPaedia can only guess.
To the great amusement of all present, President Kenyatta sang his country's motto song of Harambe, which means working together. Everyone joined in. On the following evening, President Mobutu of the Democratic Republic of Congo gave a reception at Lugogo Stadium as a grand finale to a very successful summit conference. President Mobutu escorted his guests. The excited audience identified the leaders as they came in. President Mobutu and his wife, President Obote and Mrs. Obote, President Bokassa and Mrs. Bokassa led the dancing to exotic music by the world-famous OK Jazz Band, flown especially from the Congo for the occasion. And now this happy and auspicious period of the conference is at an end. We hope that our visitors enjoyed it as much as we did, and that they will carry with them happy memories of Uganda. Such memories can form the basis for working together in the future for the good of all our people and Africa as a whole.
That was a great event. You've seen our leaders jigging to the music of Mzee Franco Luambo Luanzo Makiadi, who was flown in specially by President Mobutu of then Democratic Republic of Congo, which he later renamed Zaire, and which is now again Congo. He flew in a band specially to accompany him for that event, and you've seen Franco, you've seen how our own people here were jigging. But also worth noting are the highlights which my ancestor Sadik Akmal highlighted. One, Uganda had a population of about 5 million at that time. It had cash crops, coffee, cotton, tea, sugar, and then copper. 5. Then he was mentioning national parks, Azikidepo, Queen Elizabeth, and Maction Falls. You, the student of Uganda, can now compare whether we have made any progress since that time, considering that right now, soya bean, sunflower, flowers are also cash crops today in this Republic of Uganda. Maybe for Herbert Semiano and Ugandans below 40, another interesting aspect is the vehicles. The limos, which you would now call, I wonder what vehicle would now be the equivalent, TX. The limos were the old Rolls Royce, one or two of which are in the Uganda Museum now. And the police vehicles, the escorts, were Zephyr 6. Those were the police patrol cars, very fast. And the police outriders, who now have BMWs, they used to have the British BSA, as you have seen. I want to remark that of all the big people we've seen in this very, very historic clip, I think the only ones alive are Mama Miria Obote, who was First Lady, and Mama Ngina Kenyatta, who is the mother of former President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. I've also spotted Mzee Henry Chemba somewhere, but at that time he was not one of the big people. He was just the presidential private secretary to Dr. Obote. So Mama Miria and Mama Nyerere are the only big people still alive as we speak today at the beginning of 2023. That was all for now from OwanaPaedia, and please If you want to get the best out of 2023, subscribe to OwanaPaedia.
OwanaPaedia for history, forgive me all. OwanaPaedia to me. OwanaPaedia, Owana for history. If we all, OwanaPaedia.
Banange, have you subscribed to OwanaPaedia? I don't know what you are waiting for.
OwanaPaedia to me. OwanaPaedia, Owana for history.